What up with it? This is your boy, the digital pit boss, and we back. We live with the Melanation Sensation Explanation Epilogue. And tonight we got two special guests. Most definitely, we got the bars inside of bars, Black Ink. Went in for y'all. Y'all know he did. Y'all know he did. But we also got a special guest. This brother is a video blogger. He interviewed Keno, one of the guys who left the camp. He also has different interactions with the brother Nature Boy. They're pretty familiar with him. I don't know if he's a real big fan of Nature Boys, but he definitely has a lot of interactions. I'm gonna show you his channel a little later. DJ cuda, DJ Cuda. So y'all make sure you go over there and get ready to subscribe to his channel. And tonight we're gonna have a little commentary between BLAQINK and DJ Cuda. Welcome to the show, DJ Cuda. Welcome to the show, BLAQINK. What you think, brother?
Thanks for having
yes, sir. So tell us a little bit about yourself, brother. DJ Cuda, before we get knee deep into the conversation, give us a little bit of your background, brother.
Really, I'm just I was a musical artist, but nowadays, you gotta move with the time. So I just took it upon myself to, jump into the whole podcasting world and the radio world, not waiting for somebody to put me on. So I put myself on, and at the same time, I wanted to build a platform where I could connect with people and, talk about dating and relationships and just the different things that goes on, out here in the world, just current news and everything. So I started the platform. I play music and just have real talk, just like you brothers here. Just have real talk, but I give people sound advice. But in a lot of cases, I go about it in a different way. But it's just basically to spread the knowledge to people. So not everybody has to learn through trial and error. They can kick it with people because people like us. People don't even get to talk to their friends for a good half an hour. So we doing the Lord's work. So if we can save 1 or 2 people a year, we done our job. So,
That's happening. That's happening. And so we bringing back our special Walter Concrete, break him off, proper like BLAQINK. What's up, brother? Welcome back to the show.
Man.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Really appreciate the brother DJ Cuda coming on. He was a primary source in my research.
It's a pleasure.
I forget the 2 series you did though. Could you please let the people know what the name
I
of
did
those
a
2
couple
shows
of
were?
series, man, but the latest one that was really profound was the from I think it was from Reflections to Homie, and it was just really showing that he opened a platform where people could get at him and talk to him, challenge his beliefs, and ask him questions and everything. And it just you can't hold up that facade for too long. So I named it Reflections to Homie because after a while the respect go out the window. You're not Reflection no more when you don't agree with him, and then you turn straight into Homie and stuff. So when I went on the show, I was listening to King Noble and stuff, and he had a great argument and stuff. But me, I just went for his beliefs, man. It's just you got so many people over there, they're just using their imagination. There's no real solid beliefs. So that's what inspired me to kind of do that show, because I called in and then I had that recording, and then the other 2 halves of the show. I basically just did filler busting where he, took some of my, my content, I guess misconstrued it and stuff like that. So,
Whoa. Could you run over that again and please elaborate? You trying to hold on, let me get this clear for the audience.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that this brother perhaps swagger jacked you in the terms of the street terminology?
Yeah. I like I said, like my YouTube channel. I take it and put it on my social media, and it was a direct, criticism of him, because even in the show, I told him, I understand that you have a more positive message for others, but I tagged him in the show. He was tagged for like a good couple of hours, and then his name miraculously untagged itself. So I tagged him in the actual status where I did the show. Crit, constructively criticizing him, and I tagged him in the comments. And then 9 days later, he pops up because I did a show, and it was called the Nature Boy Show. It was in two parts. And at the end of the show, I kind of told, why the black woman is confused. Why is she there? And I gave this analogy. I'm gonna kind of, paraphrase right now, but I gave this analogy of how she is God, but she don't understand how she is God, and she don't understand her problem. That she created man out of, that she created man, but a man, theoretically is a complete version of a woman. Then he took this analogy because I said, women are God because they created men to be better than them, to better themselves. He took this analogy, did some bullshit PowerPoint, and then I don't know how he got to the conclusion that women are hermaphrodites. So this is the thing. This is just basic science. Basic science, common sense, a little bit of biology. If a woman is a hermaphrodite, you have to acknowledge, and I said this in the show too. Everything that I said in the show is coming to light. If a woman is a hermaphrodite, you have to acknowledge the male species, because a woman can't just impregnate herself. She has to have an example of what she can impregnate herself with, which is the male species. Common sense. Women sat in there talking about some, yes, I agree, and all this other stuff. See, women will devalue themselves just to go out of their way to make another dude seem gay. Because he said, you guys talking about some, oh, we're not gay and all this other stuff. If you suck on a woman's clitoris and all this stuff, you're sucking a penis. And the woman just ate it up like it's top ramen noodles. They oh yeah, and all this other stuff. It's like, dude, what the hell did you? And they agreed to it. So it's like, where do you come up with these conclusions? And I said it in the show that these dudes speak to you on three parallels, because this is God talk. We're talking God talk. So, and I said in the show, the reason why a lot of people are gay and a lot of, white, not a lot of people are gay, but a lot of white supremacists and people that are higher up don't like the average person being gay. Because when you look at all these popes and these priests and all the stuff that they're doing, they believe that, okay, if a man masters himself as a man, he will master woman. And then who's the master of woman and man? A God. So they bring in a third variable. And this is what he's going to start to do. He's going to make the black woman think that she's a hermaphrodite, and then bring in this whole God talk of you're a bigger being because you're both, and all this other stuff. See, men, we don't sit together and say, oh, we don't need women. Oh, women can just stay over there. We don't need women. We can just go over to our own island. We don't need women. But women have said that about men. So it's easy to swindle women's thought process into thinking like this when they're from Babylon. Babylon women, quote unquote, Babylon women, this is how they think. This is why they jump back and forth between lesbianism and being straight. This is why they glorify themselves but don't understand why. And I just kind of got on him on that element. I tagged him in the show. Dude took some of the sauce from the show, ran off with it, misconstrued it, came up with PowerPoint interviews and stuff, just basically affirming what Kino said. Kino is like not the sacrificial lamb, but he's basically the guy that's gonna be doing the justice, because he's the turning point in the whole situation. And another thing that you stated, which you did an eloquent job of going there, I wanted to let you know that he fucked up when that white woman went there. That's where he fucked up too, because now he got all this attention on him, and it's like I don't know. It's like he got all this attention on him, and it's just unjust. Like he's just gonna keep regurgitating, and people are just gonna fall off one by one.
Well, Black Ink, let me step in real quick. Black Ink, what was it about some of the information that you learned from DJ Cuda and also Kino and them that you kind of integrated into your explanation?
Okay, what I learned was in the research process, you want to get more than just the person's perspective. Hold on. The person's perspective, who's the subject. You want to get outside opinions from people who were loosely affiliated or associated in some manner, form, or fashion. So when I stumbled upon Kino, who I like to call the Frederick Douglass, the runaway slave of the Costa Rican melanation plantation, right? I had to upgrade the search, which means like when you do, and I'm gonna give up a Jew, when you do a search on Google, you can go on the left hand side and there's a little column that says the time frame you want to get it. So I was like, well, let me do a
Mm,
search that's in the last 30 days. And
mm,
that's when DJ Kuda's video popped up, which I wouldn't have been able to find on the regular YouTube Tumblr.
mm.
And I clicked on, and I seen the keynote 3 part with the little epilogue at the bottom with the music. And one thing I like about your show, brother, is you include and integrate music in while
Yeah,
you're speaking over the instrumentals. I
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Thanks. I
And you use
appreciate
stuff that people are familiar enough with that they're going to pay attention and listen to you ride the beat like an engineer or a conductor.
it. Yeah.
So that's a props on that with the
Thanks. I
format.
appreciate it.
But anyway, I was listening to the keynote show and then it was over and I saw this reflections thing. The reflections, the homie. And then it hit me like, that's one of those nature boy code words.
Mm,
Hello, reflection.
mm-hmm.
So I listened to that and the brother had a live stream going. I guess it was Nature Boy and King Noble, right? And you were
Yeah.
commentating on it while it was live.
Yeah.
And I like the interactivity, how you had like 3 things going at once with the multitask.
Yeah.
And then you were refuting his argument as he was trying to state it. Now, I have 2 questions real quick for you that kind of tie in together. You spoke of a show that you do, right? The vlog show.
Mm.
Um, could you elaborate on what the theme is or like the platform that you're doing in terms of your shows, your webisodes? And then number 2, how did you come to learn about or become acquainted with the one they call Ether Boy now?
Oh man, he changes up every day. Um, what I was doing was I started the show to kind of really give off relationship advice because I want to bring a understanding between both sexes with the show. Like I want women to understand what men are, and I want men to understand what women are. Like just understand. And the thing is, what happened was I was talking about simps, and this is when the whole Cleveland killer, Cleveland shooter was going on. How these like I kind of wanted to give women the whole thought process and guys to give the whole thought process on how simps think, because a lot of these simps, what they do is they use religion as a tool to get women. They aren't really dedicated to the religion or the spirituality that they're trying to preach. You know what I'm saying? They take this tool and they use it because it's a form of philosophy and it can answer a lot of questions being dismissive that a lot of guys don't have game to really lace a woman with or about her situation or anything. It's easy for me to say, oh, God will deal with it or such and such will deal with it without the actual problem being addressed. And I was talking about the certain types of sin, the Cleveland killer being a suicidal sin. And I was talking about the religious sin and the spiritual sin, how they use, spirituality to pull these women in. It's just basically selling dreams, nothing different. So what happened was I end up scrolling down my timeline, and a young lady named Sage Queen, I guess she was over there, was saying that she was distraught, she was sad, something was going on, and she was wondering why she's being labeled a demon and all this other stuff. So I see everybody commenting on her her status and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, she's a demon, how, cute girl. So there, everybody was saying, oh, she's talking about Nature Boy, Nature Boy, Nature Boy. So I keep hearing this word nature, this name Nature Boy, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we got. So I did a couple of searches on Facebook, and then I found out, who Nature Boy was, which is this. When I first saw him, before I knew who he was, I just thought it was just some random nigga outside in a loincloth with a staff. Spiritual, let's be spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Some type of spiritual farmer or whatever. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of, commented back on her status, like, don't worry about it. Why are you so worried about somebody that's just gonna have you outside in the grass and eating berries and shit? Like nobody, why are you so stuck on that? Then I started looking up his videos, and he's, I mean, he means well. When I first saw it, he means well, but then there was some holes in a lot of the stuff that he was talking about. So he had a platform where he was saying, okay, well, if anybody doesn't, like what I'm doing or don't agree with me, you can come on this platform and talk to me. And I called, and when I listened to the show, which was on Blog Talk Radio, it was just nothing but women affirmating the same informations over and over, giving testimonials and stuff. Like, I'm at the bottom of the queue. Nobody answered my call or anything. So I listened to some more of his videos. I'm like, okay, I see what dude is doing. You're going out of your way to basically pander or simp to women. So I did a show, critiquing him. I'm like, okay, I couldn't reach you on your platform, so this is what I'm gonna do. I did a constructive criticism of you and tied it into my whole simp thing that I had going on already, showing that, okay, this is the type of religious simp. Ladies, this is the type of game that you have to watch out for. This is the type of things that he's gonna, run on you, and not him in general, but simps are gonna run on y'all. And then I kind of tied it back into him, and I tagged him in it. 9 days, a couple hours later, he untags himself from the original post, and 9 days later, after he had a chance to look up on the computer and everything, he pops up with the same information that I said on the second half of the show. Because the second half of the show, which was what was powerful, what I was saying to about women, and he pops up with the same information, but it's worded different and things like that. So that's how this whole thing started. So I have those shows, and I have and then I did a filibustering show on the second and third part of the from Reflections to Homie, stating where he got a lot of his information from. Because I could show you on his Facebook, I could show you way more stuff where he took way more information from the show, but I'm not doing no tit for tat thing. I just know, homie, he just making up his religion as he goes along.
Okay, cool. Now, before we go any further, I have another double entendre type of question. And I love how you're providing the information honestly and being very forthright. But the next question is this: for the purpose of the audience that we have to understand our form of infotainment, if you will, right? Our form of edutainment. So we're giving information and we hope it could be entertaining. We're giving out education, but we hope it could be entertaining. So on that note, right? Uh, could you please define both the politically correct meaning of simp, as in like O.J. Simpson or the cartoon The Simpsons, and then the true meaning from the street subject matter of what a simp is? And then on that note, could you also piggyback that with, if you ever interacted like a conversation build with Nature Boy, and what was that like, and what did you take away from that build?
Okay. Well, the politically correct term for simp, I guess it's a short word for like sympathy, but as guys, we're givers, so you can tell when somebody's like over sympathizing for somebody for approval, for direct approval. So a simp is like a guy that goes out of his way, and a lot of simps they don't even know, but it's a guy that shorts himself to go out of his way for female approval, and that'll be the politically correct term for simp. Now, a simp in in the regular street world and common world would be like a guy that the same term, but he's doing it on purpose, and this is his pull to get a lot of women. But at the same time, these are the same guys that complain when they get put in a certain position and they don't take responsibility for the certain position that they get put in, but they do it all the time. And the third question was, what was the third question about?
It was if you ever had a build or interaction with Nature Boy,
Oh yeah.
and if so, what was that like, and what did you leave the conversation with in terms of a perspective on him?
He's just bouncing around. I had a conversation with him during the, if you listen to the Reflections to Homie, the first part, and I know I was like being ignorant in person and all that stuff, but I called up and I got into a conversation with him, And I was basically, just going at his beliefs. I'm not gonna sit up there and debate with him, because he takes on a lot of images. Like, one minute he's like the savior of black women, then the next minute he's like this huge nature guy. So I just went straight for his beliefs. And what I ended up doing was, I ended up speaking to him, and I ended up asking him, questions, and I ended up letting him know that, dude, you're bouncing around from subject to subject. And he was gonna do, like I said in the show, that he's gonna be dismissive. Once somebody, he doesn't want to make a mistake on live. This is the thing about doing things live. You can make a mistake and you can't edit it out. And the thing is that, I put him in a position where he had to, it's like a chess position. I put him in a position where he had to mix his beliefs with his imagination, because that's what he's doing. I put him in a position right there on the spot where he had to mix his belief with his imagination, and I put out some facts, and he got mad and rushed me off the phone, being dismissive. He's been dismissive the whole time. So that's all it is. And women like dismissiveness, by the way. They like to dismiss things without no reason or rhyme for it. So I get what he's doing. And um what I wanted to do was, I wanted to kind of show that he is game conscious, because like, hey, he used to be a gigolo, so he's game conscious. He has knowledge of the game, and he kind of knows what he's doing on the psychological tip or the gift of gab type tip. But I put him in a position, basically, so where he had to use his imagination, and what will happen is he's gonna have to regurgitate things that he imagined, that he mixed with religion, and what it's gonna do at some point, it's gonna contradict. See what I'm saying? It's gonna contradict what he says, because all he's doing is repeating himself. And repetition, a lot of times when you keep repeating yourself and you're mixing new information with your imagination and creating beliefs, you're gonna say something that's not gonna, coexist with what you said before. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I trapped him.
Okay, I like to call that fabrication,
Yeah,
or another
there
good
you go.
word is
Yeah, yeah. For lack of better word. Yeah, yeah,
exaggeration based
yeah.
on improvisation.
Yeah, because a
You know,
lot of
like
this information, he's learning it at the same time also, but he's preaching it. And you have to understand that, dude, I'm trying to tell this man, you're working off of epiphany. You're working off of epiphanated mind state, and you're gonna contradict yourself further on down the line, because I was telling him too about the King James version of the Bible, that King James was gay. And also, King James wrote the first demonic Bible around the same time. And what I was getting at with him was that, you can't keep referencing the Bible and referencing Jesus at at your leisure and stuff anytime you want to, because you're around a group of women and you have an image to uphold. You can't keep referencing Jesus and saying you believe in Jesus and the Bible, and then you believe that the black woman is God, and then you believe all this other stuff. The Bible is a book full of laws, rules, and instructions, and you have to adhere to those laws, rules, and instructions, instead of following little pieces that you think make sense. Because I told him a lot of the stuff in the Bible wasn't for the average person like me or you. These were for Jesus's disciples. And then the Bible was written 300 years after the shit happened. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind
yeah,
of prying into how deep did you do your history to kind of come to these conclusions that you're coming to, and then adding the whole spiritual element and stuff, because
yeah.
a lot of
Well,
women don't do their history. A lot of women aren't going to go out of their way to learn about Jim Jones or the Peter Pan theory or all this other stuff.
good. Hold on right there. Hold on right there. You touched
Mm,
it. I wanted you to go to that lane because you talk about the imagination,
mm-hmm,
right? And one of the things that you pointed out in the comment section of the video we did was about the Peter Pan syndrome. Now, I
yeah,
just scratched the surface as trying to connect all these different dots that made sense
you
to
did a
me
great job
coming
with
from a
that.
literary perspective, right? But I want you to go further on that because you made some good points in the comment that you had already elaborated on in reference to Nature Boy. Please speak on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just called him on the shit. I just looked at it from a player point of view, as to how he's leading it. You know what's funny? Somebody called him a jungle pimp, and when they called him a jungle pimp, I couldn't help but laugh. But it's basically like pimping, and like how broke it down, once you get there, you give them your money and all this other stuff. It's the same structure. It's like he does it as if he's protecting you and this, that, and the third. It's like the Neverland theory, the whole Peter Pan thing, stay here in your body and dream and come with me, and I'm going to show you the promised land, and I'm going to show you that you're better being and all this other stuff. It's like it's the same story recreated over and over and over and over again. And all you got to do is just know a little bit of history, read up on some books, do some biographical, read some biographies, know about Jim Jones, know about Malachi York, know about all of these figures and stuff. This is nothing new under the sun. But these women eat it up, because I also stated that, because I mean, I really don't care about the dudes over there. I'm like, just dude, why you have all these women over here believing this shit? And the thing is that, but the dudes too, because dudes, we gotta look up our own research and stuff. But the thing is that, you know, my problem with religion and spirituality is how a lot of people find it. And they find it when they're at a low point in their life and they're really gullible and they need something to believe in. A lot of people need an identity. A lot of people don't have no life. A lot of people are fucking their own lives up. A lot of people's lives are fucked up, whether they take, responsibility for it or not. But when you choose to deeper your spirituality or get into a religion or something, you have to be more conscious of the information that you're intaking, because a lot of times it could be leading you down a dark path. And a lot of times you don't want to be in a dark path in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? There is a saying, sometimes you find yourself in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes in the middle of nowhere you find yourself. And that is true, but you don't need to be out of town BSing or find yourself in a hostage situation just because you needed some clarity on something. See what I'm saying? So that was really my stance on it. And it is the Peter Pan theory. You got this one guy leading all these kids out into the jungles of Costa Rica and all this other stuff. Some of these people never even left their neighborhoods. And all of this stuff is just it's great to be out there. Some of these people, you can't show them a palm tree or a crabgrass without them freaking out or thinking that they're doing something special. You know what I'm saying? I've been to Hawaii. I've been to all these places. I lived in Florida and stuff. This is cool. I would love to, be in paradise like this, but don't have your image of paradise shattered because you were going through something and you see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
I don't know. It's
and
just up and down,
I,
bro.
I appreciate your perspective and your point of view because
Mm.
it seems like this is new to me. I
Yeah.
only spent like 2 or 3 days studying this intensely to put that presentation out and make it
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote infotainment.
Yeah, I know. I
But
know you put some work into that. Yeah.
thank you. And based on your experience in this quote unquote community or subculture, whatever it might be called or classified as, right? What
Mm-hmm.
is your thoughts on the effect that this guy is having on people online? Like, whenever somebody makes a comment, I've noticed he'll have a whole bunch of people attack the person commenting if it has anything to counter what he's
Yeah.
presenting.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of, yeah, go ahead.
It's a cult following. It's a cult. And my thing is that people see that he's positive. He's a more positive individual than a lot of dudes out here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to tear the brother down, but it's like, dude, the way you're going about it, like that's and I would think if you had all of these minds and all of these people that can quote unquote read your chakra, or that can see your vibe, or you feel your energy and stuff, you would think they will pick up on this. That whole hermaphrodite thing, if I had said that shit, I would have got dragged across the internet. You know what I'm saying? But the reason is that, when women like somebody and they gain this affinity to somebody, they don't want you. If you can't replace their belief system with something else, they're not gonna go nowhere. And that's the thing. A lot of these people are weak-minded. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. A lot of people in the conscious community are weak-minded. Being dead serious. when you go further into consciousness, a lot of them are weak-minded, and they don't know what to do with these newfound thoughts. They don't know what to do with, with with certain experiences that they're gonna experience, because they don't read up on shit. They don't understand things. So when you have somebody that comes along, just like anybody else, it's just knowledge and information, and kind of put two and two together, or have somewhat of a half-ass answer for with the question that you want to ask. Because sometimes these people don't ask the question, but he poses a question and then answer it, and they're like, "Oh my God, it makes so much sense." You would think people will be more smart, but at the same time, I can't judge people for who they follow. But at the same time, if somebody says something that don't make any sense, call them out on it or something like that. Or his following is just a lot of people that just they're fooling themselves, really. Because in the conscious community, it's cool to use your imagination, but you really have to learn how to be realistic with the information that you're receiving, because it's just easy to get wrapped up into a lot of mental bullshit, and oh, fuck the white man and all this other stuff. And you know what I'm saying? It's just it's BS in a lot of cases, especially today's
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah. It's a belief system. It's BS, right? I got that from Kino,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
off your
Keno did
show.
show me that. Yeah,
But here's the thing
yeah.
about it, right? People don't really believe in anything. So, like the movie
They don't.
Car Wash with Richard Pryor
Yeah.
as Daddy Rich, they had the Pointer Sisters talking about you got to believe something. Why not believe in me?
Mm-hmm.
And he gives people something they think they can believe in based on the fallacy of escapism to Never Never Land. You can throw off all your responsibilities and don't look back. Almost
Mm-hmm.
like a race car driver that says, fuck a rear view mirror because I'm only going forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what he's telling people.
But what it is
You
too is
know,
that
yeah.
a lot of people want what's called an identity, and the thing is that when you believe in something like that, you have to have an identity to kind of justify it. So that's why you have people out here calling ankhs crosses, and they got all of these elaborate tattoos and all this other stuff. People just want to be somebody. And honestly, like a cult following, man, it's like a protection system. Like, the same people that are gonna believe in this dude, and then when some scandals and stuff comes out, they're gonna like I said, you can't, if you're not gonna replace somebody else's belief system, they don't want it's like Stockholm syndrome. It's like a form of Stockholm syndrome. People that are over there, but his cult following is actually bigger across the United States. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, he's glorifying the black woman. This is the pull right there, the glorifying the black woman, and she is myself and all this other stuff, and disregarding manhood, or not showing, the man's role in anything. Because like I said, these conscious dudes, man, that keep bigging up, black women and doing all this other stuff. What they're trying to do is we're talking about energy in the end. And the thing is, people for the longest time are trying to get energy to move. If black women don't uphold black men, he can't uphold her, and she can't uphold him, and create this type of synergy that creates movement. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said in my videos, a 200-pound man can lift two black women up onto a ledge. But ain't no 120-pound black woman gonna lift no 200-pound man up onto a ledge. You have to lift your man up so he can raise you up higher than what you are right now. We've been living in a matriarch for like the last 40 plus years. And it's like you got so many people out here talking about change and all this other stuff. It's like, dude, you're just saying the same shit that's been
Well,
said for the past 40, 50 years.
well,
And
brother,
you're demoting manhood at the expense of what? See what I'm saying? So it's just
yes,
like,
I
it's
do.
like, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but shit, somebody gotta say it. Somebody gotta say it. And when you did your presentation, dude, I was listening to everything. I was glued to everything, because you pieced together a lot of the things that I wondered about, and you put it in a perspective. Like you thoroughly chewed them out. Like when you told me to take a look at the at the show, I'm thinking I'm getting invited to like a nice roast, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm about to see what's going on. See other brothers waking up to this dude's buffoonery, and dude, I walked away with gems. Like I walked away way more satisfied. Like I'm like, damn, this is all of this stuff is true. You went deep. You went like further beyond. Like when you were explaining everything, I said, yo, this is a guy that is not to be fucked with. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy that clearly is not to be fucked with. But what I'm saying is that with this whole thing, I just want everybody to be safe. I don't want no scandals and shit going on, dude. If you want to take my information, take it. That's shit. I put it out there on the internet. I should have known better. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? But don't sit
Yeah.
up here and misconstrue it and then try to turn it into something and say, "Oh, black woman, you're such a god because you're a hermaphrodite. You can make babies and at the same time you can have babies and all this other stuff." Show me one woman that got herself pregnant with her own genetics and
Okay,
didn't have a
now
child.
here we go. You lead me right to my next question, and this is freestyle. I had a couple of writtens, but you ran through them
Mm,
perfectly. Now we're gonna freestyle in the lanes that you pick.
yeah.
Maybe you could help the audience that's over here understand better from your relationship perspective, right? This is what you
Mm,
speak on and comment on your platform, correct?
mm,
So
mm,
he has this idea that he's for nature, but he's against children being there, number one. And number
yeah.
two, against women having children or conceiving, being pregnant to full term on the compound. Could you help to unpack that and kind of,
Well,
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Is there any way you can
oh yeah.
kind of make it make sense from
Oh yeah,
what
I
you know
can
about him?
shoot, that's easy as hell. And it's funny. I think he saw the show and tried to backtrack today. I was looking at it today. He had a heart. He started talking about his baby mothers and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? He can't have that over there. And he can't have that over there. One of the reasons too is that he's with. I guess him and Yaya got something going on, and women will sit there and would love to be fucking baby mother number three and all this other stuff. It don't matter to them in a lot of cases. They don't really look at something like that. But he can't have children over there because children like to get into nuisance. He can't have children over there. He can have maybe one or two because what he did is he's established himself online through his cult following. And what's going to happen is if you have children over there, kids get sick left and right. You are not a fucking doctor. Kids be throwing up, spitting up. They diaper rashes, all kinds of shit. Like he's not. Nobody over there is equipped to be dealing with children. Kids run off. They do all kinds of stuff. Especially them 2-year-olds, them terrible twos. He ain't about to have no kid over there, not like that. And they have to be in They have to be in extreme supervision. If you won't let an adult walk off, a kid's not gonna run off. Then again, also, how are you gonna properly give this child nutrition? Where are you gonna find milk? Where are you gonna find cradles? How are you gonna get this child to stop crying? Kids don't want to play with trees and shit. They want to play with balls. They want to play soccer. They want to do all kinds of shit. You can't kick a coconut. You can't. You know what I'm saying? He can't. You can't have kids over there. And if the kids are over there, they're gonna be off some wrapped up to the mom type shit. And it's how you have to display it. You have to look at how you have to display it. A kid will put a hole right in the situation. His kids will put a hole right in his situation. If I was to have a debate with him, I would be like, the way you cheating and teaching all of these women, you gotta do the same thing with your children. Why haven't you taken time out of your life to go talk to your children or go see what's up with them? Leave the ladies at Costa Rica a little bit, go visit your child, take a couple pictures, then come back or something. There's all kinds of things you could do. But see, a kid will throw the monkey wrench in a lot of his what he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? A pimp can't have no kid on the track. with him. You see what I'm saying? He tell, look, oh, you better keep that kid over there, do whatever you got to do over there. None of that stuff can happen. So I'm not saying he's running no pimping organization or something. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying it just throws a monkey wrench in the whole thing. And then on top of that, you're around a whole bunch of women with maternal instincts. How does that play out? See what I'm saying? How does that play out? She's gonna be like, oh well, you're not taking care of him right, or this isn't right, or I don't like the way you handled this, or a man doesn't do this, or so he's gonna have a whole bunch of discrepancies having children over there, even discrepancies that he don't see coming. And then how they're living over there, like shitting by trees and stuff, CPS will be on them really quickly.
So, bro, you just nailed it. It makes perfect sense now. A child equals one big word that begins with a R, called responsibility.
Yeah.
You can't have that in Never Never Land.
Yep. That's a fact. That's a fact.
So anyway, my brother, I think that we covered all the bases. If there's anything else you would like to add before we wrap this
Um,
up, I'd appreciate it.
nothing really, man. I want everybody to listen to what you did. You know what I'm saying? If you want to listen to, my version of the story, listen, I tell you, have an open ear. Don't think, oh, it's negativity or this person's cursing a lot or anything. Just listen, pull the moral out of what I'm saying. But you eloquently put it, you articulated it the best way it can be articulated. You went into the theories, you went into the stories, you connected nature with you corrected and connected every single thing. You did what needed to be done. You did the due justice. If anybody wants to know whatever goes on in that situation, or or um or feel some type of disconcern or anything, they need to refer to what you put out, because you put out the epitome of what should have been said. You put out everything, and you did it in such a way, it was like, damn, it makes you think. You challenge people's thoughts, and you let people, like if he was to play what you put out in front of those women, it would seed them so bad that when they go to sleep, they're gonna have to start thinking, because those women, no matter how much conversations you can have with those women, they would never touch anything close to what you said. Never.
Well, brother,
And
I
that's a
want you to
fact.
know that you caught my intent because I wanted to speak personally to them as if they were watching me talk about them directly
Yes.
and try to
Yes.
crack that spell that they're under
Yes.
and use familiar Hollywood and literary references as well as real life cult references that all tie up and line up with what dude was pushing. And see, at
Yes.
first I didn't think it was as serious, but when I started really sinking and deeping, going like Jacques Cousteau, deep sea diving with it,
Mm-hmm.
bruh, I was like, you know what? I'm obligated to just tell the truth and let the chips
Yeah.
fall where they may. If it's wrong, if it's incorrect, let him come and refute it and correct it point by point and see what it do.
And I think he heard it too, because he was going more deeper into his whole child situation, and all that other stuff. I guess he had Yaya and some other girl sitting beside him and all this other stuff. Dude, I don't know. Like, what me and Kino was trying to really find out is, okay, we see what you're doing, but what exactly is your motive? Like, what is the motive? Do you truly believe what you're talking about, or are you just on some big epiphany thing that you're gonna keep repeating yourself, and then the woman gonna end up getting tired, and then people are just gonna start going? Because we already connected that, Yaya's the glue. Yaya leaves, I don't know. She's the glue.
Well, check this out. I forgot to mention his brother last night. I think his name is Solace, the Wise One.
Okay.
I got a lot of good information from him, and one of the key
Yeah.
points he said it was a zinger. He said he's not in it for the money, he's in it for the bodies. What do you
Mm.
think about that concept?
I would say the same thing because I'm not in it for the money neither. I'm just in it for people to have clarity on certain things. I'm in it for the ladies over there to like come home and just study the shit by yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got enough information. Just study the shit by yourself. And I'm there for the people so that they won't have to go out there and get put in messed up situations. And at the same time, whatever he wants to do, just do it. But I'm just keeping an eye on him. Like
Mm,
okay, what are you doing? Like because
mm.
your theories aren't making sense. And I said it to Kino too. I said I knew a guy would have to go over there and break that up. You know how in a lion tribe, the young lion at some point tries the male lion because maybe he's getting older or he doesn't agree with the male lion's philosophy and things like that. It's just I don't know, man. I just don't want our ladies out here confused because at the same time they got to lead the future, man. They got to bear kids and all this other stuff, man. They out there in the middle of nowhere. This shit could end terrible if it came down to it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, you know what, I ain't, I can't pry too deep into it. We'll just see how it plays out because, I gotta get back to scheduled programming on my show and stuff. I don't want to have my show just be about, this fool out there in the rainforest doing whatever he's doing. Much respect to him. It just I'm watching. And at the same time, I'm seeing how he's bouncing back and forth because now all of a sudden he's saying astrology is the religion that we must follow, and I'm like, dude, they finding planets every other month and shit. So your sign that you
Yeah,
think is your sign may not be your sign, or
yeah.
all
His
kinds of stuff, man.
his ideology is ever evolving as it goes. And
Yeah,
that's going to be his crutch. The information is ever evolving, so
yeah,
we
just
have
like
to stay up.
news, never ending
Yeah,
world
yeah,
stories. Yeah,
yeah.
like news, but it repeats itself though. It repeats itself
Mhm.
though. But
And
just
then it
like a lot of
contradicts itself.
but to talk about the conscious community, man, the fact that there's people like this in the conscious community, it's just blatant. It shows it. One of the guys that I really respect too out here, I don't know if you're familiar with him. His name is Minister Jack, and he, like he said, it's like he said, the conscious shit. It's like it should be a phase in your life, but it should be a stepping stone to something bigger in a lot of cases because the conscious community they don't take care of their leaders. They don't take care of their leaders, and that's a fact. They don't build anything, and that's a fact. The Black Lives Matter, all of that shit, they don't build anything. Show me one Black Lives Matter school or a Black Lives Matter class or something. They don't build anything. We, it's a lot of holes in the conscious community, and a lot of people just believe in everything. You know what I'm saying? Like we're Egyptians and stuff. You know what I'm saying? When a lot of us came off the coast of West Africa, a lot of us say, "Oh, well, Africans don't mess with us because they stole us into slavery," which is a half truth. See what I'm saying? So a lot of things happen, and this is just basic history. This ain't even no, this is just basic history. I'm a guy like I know this is 2017. Listen, I read a lot of books. I am really informed. I have a vast library. I don't just get this information off my phone or my computer and just jump on the internet and try to argue with people because honestly, damn near everybody in the conscious community, what they're doing is to gather knowledge and argue against people that look like you and me. They're not sitting up here taking their knowledge and going somewhere with it. They're not opening a business with it. When black people open businesses, they half-ass work for other black people. I've been through the ringer. I've seen how this shit happens. I know the beginning and I know the end. That's why I kind of paid a little bit more attention to this situation when it came to Nature Boy. So now it's just a waiting game. It's like I'm just waiting for the shit that we all stated to come true at some point. And I just hope the brother finds some type of clarity because, like, he playing with fire. Like I said, when that white girl came to, that's where he fucked up really, like nationally, because now he got the people in Costa Rica looking at him, and Like I said, Costa Rica, they got their way of life is a lot different. They're not thinking like how he's thinking. They're not, looking at it the same way. So,
Well, let me ask you this as my final
mm,
triple entendre question. It's a
sure,
three part, so you can take as much time as you want to answer. But
no problem.
when I made reference about Solace, the wise one,
Mm,
talking about dude didn't want money, he wanted bodies, I immediately thought my Hollywood training was the invasion of the body snatchers, if you're familiar with that concept of that
I
movie.
heard of that. Yeah, yeah,
It lends itself to the modern day concept of the Walking Dead or zombies,
yeah.
okay, the zombie world, right?
Mm,
So that's where I seen it with this nature boy cat. He's turning the people into that. He's body snatching them, flipping their mind out, turning them into the Walking Dead or some zombie nation. Now,
mm.
you could speak on that, but the question I want to ask you about is your thoughts on the notion of give it all up for a tent, right? That's the first part. And it reminds me of Fight Club, right? Because at Fight Club,
Mm-hmm.
when they had the house, they came, uh, they came to the front porch and they were really mean to him and made him stay out there 3 days and 3 nights, kind of like putting the tents on the front porch,
Yeah.
right? That's how I saw it, the movie wise. And then the last part was when I seen the video about him doing the DMT psychedelic drugs expose. He talked about how he was in prison from when he was 14 and 19. When they let him out, he was in the psych ward for six
Mm-hmm.
months, but he didn't have no drugs. Like went to flew over the cuckoo's nest, and then he said he was about to take some DMT off some ayahuasca, which is like a William Hurt movie called Alter States. Now I had to cram
Yeah.
that in. But please elaborate on any of your thoughts relative to that to make it familiar to the people listening, watching, and might be curious about him. And this video happens to pop up on the reel. Please.
Well, a lot of damn, that's a great question. Um, yeah, I think he does. Yeah, 'Cause I heard he has a good amount of money there. I heard he's getting funded. I think it's getting funded. So you never know, man. Stuff like that. This could be for experiments. This could be for anything. They put a black face on things a lot of times too when something's going on. As for DMT, I want you guys to look up what DMT is. I think it's dimethyltryptamine, if I'm not if I'm not mistaken. But this is the thing about DMT that you guys need to understand, because I've read up on DMT, and I know a lot about DMT. DMT can be made from anything, but a lot of times when people make DMT, they make it in crystallized form, and you smoke these crystals, and it's a hallucinogen. It's like it engages your first eye. A lot of people call it your third eye, but that was a backwards insult that a lot of people use. This is your first eye. Now your third eye is about the size of your thumb. Well, your first eye is about the size of your thumb, and it points upward. Now, when you're born and you're in the womb, your first eye produces a lot of melanin and it pumps a lot of DMT. Also, when you die, your third eye produces a lot of DMT. So you trip into this world, and so you can say you tripped out, because a lot of people their life flashes before their eyes. Now I say that to say this: a lot of the DMT is a hallucinogen, and it's like shrooms and stuff. When you take shrooms and stuff, and you're out in nature, you see things all wild and weird and stuff. So you never know. They could be on drugs. They could be, they're out in nature. Shit is right there. You know what I'm saying? You know how to make it. You a farmer. You could grow you a nice tree and make some DMT. I don't know what they're doing, but it's probably for something bigger, because he's even stated earlier today that he was asking people like he don't want any money. Yaya came out there, and I think she said all she had was like $800 or something left to her, and he gave it to her, and then he was like, well, he said, I don't want to say it's for charity or anything, or that I'm just doing this just for the sake of doing this, but he asked her, how much did I spend on you? And she was like, thousands and stuff. And then I do know a little bit about something where he's kind of getting money, but I want Kino to elaborate on that one. That one we have to have Kino in the building, because Kino, he's done some more in depth too, experiments and stuff. So Kino will be able to kind of, tell you guys, what's going on with the money and stuff. But he's not hurting for money. Dude has money. He has money, and and it is for the bodies. That's why I don't get. That's why I'm trying to get these bras to wake up. I don't know how you wake a wake person. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to wake people that's faking like they're wake, but like I said, it's kind of like a prison thing. It's like pimping. And I said, Yaya's gonna be the bottom girl in the situation, man. These pimps, man, they go to city and city and city and city, and they create stables and stuff, and they use the same structure. So that's why when I saw how things were going on, I'm like, this seems familiar. I've seen this story before, and I don't know what it's for. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what his motives are. His motives have to be something different, or just maybe we could be overthinking. All of us, we could be overthinking, and your man wants to really learn some consciousness. But
Well, you know
I
what?
don't.
You just connected a dot that made sense to me. Where when one is leaving, another one's coming in, or when one is coming
Yeah.
in, another one's leaving.
Hmm.
That's the rotation. But anyway, I just wanted to close out. I got some stuff to do. I'm sure that you have stuff to do too. It's pretty late over
Yeah.
there, but I really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming through and blessing us with your perspective. If you have any last words or want to do a little quick promo for your station, I want to
Oh
send all the
man.
people out there watching and to see this
Yes.
to subscribe to your station and check out your perspective.
Yeah. On Facebook, man, just add me at PTR Player Talk Radio. Just I'm gonna start dropping the episodes on there. They're on my regular Facebook, but you know what I'm saying. Just I'm gonna start dropping more episodes on there. Thanks for giving more light to my YouTube page. I do need to use my YouTube page, but all the episodes are on there. You guys can listen to it. I talk about a whole bunch of different things, like just like dating and guys, like what to do and say on the first dates and stuff like that. I'm talking more about dating and relationships, but I do go in depth about things like this because I am knowledge on things like this. So a lot of the information that I give off on that channel is going to be more geared towards dating and urban news and things like that. You can follow me at Casanova Cuda on Instagram. That's CASSANOVACUDA. And I'm gonna just have more information for you guys. I kick out content. I'm pretty consistent with my work and stuff. So just tune in and just like I said, have an open ear. Don't think just because something sounds a certain way that what I'm saying, somebody's not hip enough to articulate it in a different way, man. But
Well, my brother, I just thought of one final thought, a zinger question for you to answer on the way out the door, right?
mm,
And that is this. I saw on Facebook now, I connected the dots. There was a video talking about the definition of a simp. And it showed, my son sent it to me, matter of fact, and it
yeah.
showed Nature Boy bowing down to one of the.
Yeah, man. It's because it's a type of simping, man. It's a type of simping because see, as a man, you have to develop your own philosophy and your own way of life. And a lot of people they just jump into religion and they do things like that, and that's how it happens. Like just spirituality and religion. It speaks to women, man. It's easy to tell a lady, look, God will handle it. Look, God will handle it. But if she's not working on herself or trying to be the best person that she can be, and she's not doing things, how is God going to handle it? Women think that, okay, well, if I want to fix my dating situation, I'm going to be single for 2 years. What are you doing in those 2 years to improve who you are? See, guys like me and you, we got to read books. We got to learn. Oh, you got to learn how to conversate. Oh, you got to learn how to do this. Oh, you got to learn how to do that. They just get told that they're good as is. You see what I'm saying?
Well, let me
And
ask you this, please. I'm
yeah,
sorry for interrupting you because we're on a
no problem.
time constraint. We got to wrap
Mm,
this up. My final question for you to give our audience and everybody who might stumble on this video to
mm.
be the epilogue or the final point of the Nature Boy, I'm sorry, Ether Boy, Melanation, Sensation, Explanation, Epilogue is this. from your expertise and experience in this situation and overall,
Mhm.
how can you teach anyone in one or two, three lines or less how not to be a simp? And take it away. You have the last word.
Honesty. Learn the difference between honesty and rationale. Somebody that's at the expense of you. When you're rationalizing with somebody, that's at the expense of you getting off on being honest. When you're honest with somebody, you're putting something on the table where they can judge you right there and then. And when you rationalize with somebody, you have an escape door. Okay, well, I need to stop smoking cigarettes because I'm stressed out and I can't really handle my problems. And this is a way for me to handle my problems in comparison to me blaming my girlfriend or somebody around me saying, listen, you're stressing me out and this is why I'm smoking cigarettes. So, what I want to say is that, just honesty, just be honest in a lot of cases. Just be honest, and fellas, don't be afraid to be honest with women. They're gonna call you an asshole anyway. Just be honest. Be honest. And with this whole nature boy thing, there's a certain bit of honesty we're not getting, obviously.
All right, y'all. That
That's all
was
I have to say.
DJ Cuda. DJ Cuda and my brother Black Ink. Y'all know what we think.
Yeah,
It's pretty late night. We appreciate y'all for joining the show. I
most
appreciate you
definitely,
guys
man.
for being on the show.
Mm.
And we're going to be back at y'all. But for now, peace. We out.